Kakadosh, Boker Or, Masechet Bava Metzia Daf Samich Aleph, Amud Aleph, 61A1. We're just going to start on the bottom of Samich Amud Bet 60B, where the Gemara says that we're talking about Tanu Rabbanan, Ekat Tzmicha Lo Titen Lo Beneshech, Marbi Lo Titen Uchlecha, that we only know the Neshech is Kesef and Rebit is Ochel, because there it says, Et Kaspecha Lo Titen Lo Beneshech, and then it says Marbit Ochlecha. So Neshech is by money, and Marbit is by food. How do you know that it exists Neshech by Ochel? Because it only says Marbit by Ochel. So Tamulumar, it says in a pasuk in Devarim, not by Vayikra, but rather in Devarim, Neshech Ochel. So therefore, when it says Neshech Kesef, Neshech Ochel, so it's written Neshech Ochel. Rebit Bekesef, how do you know Minai? How do you know that Rebit also happens in Kesef? Because it says Neshech by Kesef. It doesn't say, it says Marbit, right? Marbit by Ochel. So Tamulumar, Neshech Kesef, Im Eno Inyan Letkan, Neshech Kesef, Shari Kvar Ne'eman, it already says Lo Tashrik Lachicha. Teneonian Rebit Kesef. So basically, Neshech and Marbit, Neshech and Rebit applies also to Kesef and also to Ochel. And that's what we finished off yesterday. Elni Ela Balove. This concept of being over on a lav is only by the Loveh. Malve minayin. This is meaning that if you're going to come and you're going to pay it, so therefore the borrower, so you're going to be over on these two lavim. How do we know that the malve is over on the lavs? Ne'emar neshech balove, ne'emar neshech b'malve. It says neshech also by the love and also by the malve. So what do? So it says. Just like by Neshech, by the Love, you didn't differentiate between Kosik and Ochel. So to by Neshech and Rebit, also it's the same thing. So there's no difference between whether it's Kesef, Ochel, Neshech, or Marbit. You're always going to be over on the Averot as well. Meaning that it's not only the Love which is over the Averah, also the Malve is going to be over on the Averah as well. Okay? So now says the Gemara, okay, fine. Thank you. Minayin l'rabot kol davar. How do you know that it includes everything? Until now we spoke about kesef, and we spoke about ochel. What about something which is not kesef and ochel? Could be a utensil. Yeah, a utensil, or it could be anything. So how do you know? So Ravina says, lo neshech beochel velo rebit bekesef tzrichika. The pasuk does not need a pasuk, right? Not by neshech, by ochel, or rebit bekesef. Di katav, as if it's going to be written in kaspecha lo tidno meneshech, veochlecha lo titen b'marbit kedekamarta, then it's fine. But now that it's written in kaspecha lo tidno meneshech marbit lo titen ochlecha, kari behachi, this is the way that you're supposed to read it. Et kaspecha lo titen lo meneshech marbit v'neshech marbit lo titen ochlecha, which means that whether kesef or ochel, you're going to be oved, whether it's the neshech or the marbit, meaning that the fact that we put in the middle, right, in the middle of the pasuk, and therefore it's going on both chalakim. That's why the Torah changed it in order to be somech the milah neshech u marbit to the middle of the pasuk. Meaning, you could have written in the pasuk ekaspecha lo titen lo beneshech veochlecha lo titen marbit. It didn't say that. The Torah says ekaspecha lo titen lo beneshech u marbit. So put neshech and marbit together. Why did it put it together? It put it together to teach you that it's going to be on both. Okay? So says the Gemara, ve'hatara ne'emar kama. Says 1 second. But at the end of the day, it's actually brought down ne'emar neshech balove, which means he's obviously arguing on this. So hachi kamar, this is what he's saying. Ilo no ne'emar if the pasuk didn't change it in such a fashion, then I would have said agzera shava. But now that the pasuk put them together and it changed the order, I don't need a gzera shava. I don't need a gzera shava. Yeah, I don't need it.
What's the gzera shava?
So says the Gemara, ela gzera shava lamali. So why do I need a gzera shava bichlal? Meaning, I don't need a gzera shava because if you already put them close together, I don't need a gzera shava. So no, the neshech kol davar asher yishach de lo katav b'malveh. Meaning that was not written by malveh, only by the love. So I wanted also to apply it to the malveh, to the lender, that he's also going to be on kol davar asher yishach, and anything. Meaning not only kesef ve'ochel, afilu al kelim, afilu al begadim, afilu al lo meshane ma ze yeh. It also applies. Why? Because they're kol davar asher yashiv, right? Fine. Asher yishach. Amar Rava. Rava comes and he says, Lama li de katav rachmana lav beribit, lav begezel, velav beona. Why do I need a lav for each one? One for the beat, gezel and ona. Yeah, put them all together. Because basically you're taking away money from your friend. What is the difference whether you're stealing it from him, you're charging him interest, or you're coming and you're tricking him into buying something much more expensive, right, for Pesach than what it really is. Yeah. So he says, Siche, you need it. Why do you need it? But if it was written in the Torah, lav beribit, mishum de chidushu. It's a chidush. Ta'afilu beloveh asar rachmana. Because even if you're lending out money, it's going to be asur. V'ikatav rachmana lav begezel, shum davar kolche, because you're forcing it against them. Aval beona'ah, emalo bana beona'ah. V'ikatav rachmana lav beona'ah, mishum de lo yada machil, because he doesn't know that he's going to be forgiven. Right? Which means like this. Gezel obviously is a chidush in the fact that it's against somebody's will. So you're stealing from someone. It's not that he's willingly coming and giving you something. So therefore, if you would have only brought down there, okay, so it's only brought down by gezel, not by anything else. Ona'ah is that at the end of the day, the guy doesn't even know about it. So how's he going to know, right, in order to be forgiving? And to do the case of the rebit, it's also a chidush. Listen, nobody has to take a loan. You want to take a loan, these are the conditions. You understand? Nobody forced you. Nobody put a gun to your head that you need to take a loan. So you already coming and taking the loan. That's going to be your problem. That's going to be your problem.
The rebate is the problem or the loan?
I can't learn one from another because each one had a chumrah that the other one didn't have. But why can't I come and learn one from two? So says the Gemara, hey Titi, what are you going to learn from? Lo dichtav rachmana, if it's not going to write it by rebit, the love rebit, and learn from the other two, from gezel and nona'ah, ma lahanach sheken shlomidat. Rebit was that. You knew about it. Gezel and nona'ah, you don't even know about it. Somebody either stole it from you, or they're charging you extra without you even knowing the real price. So that's called ona'at, shlomidat, right? Sheken shlomidat, toma rebit, midate. Lo lichtov rachmana, if it's not going to write it by love beona'ah, the taiti menech, and you're going to learn from the other ones. What about the other ones? It's not the regular derech mekach umemkar like that. Ela, but rather, lo lichtov rachmana lav begezel. We're not going to write it by gezel. V'teiti mehanach, and we're going to bring it from the other ones. Temai parachta, that what are you learning from? Ma'al rebit sheken chidush, that it is a chidush. Ona tochiach, ona is going to come and prove to you. Ma'ale ona sheken lo yadau machil. That what are you going to do for ona'ah that you didn't know about it and you were mochel? So rebit tochiach. So rebit is going to teach you the other way around. The chazaradin, again, common denominator. What's a binyan av? Lo reizek, which means each one on its own is not the same thing. Because rebit is not dome to ona'ah, and ona'ah is not dome to rebit. But each one has something, because each one has something that the other one doesn't have. Rebit is a sur, even though he knows and he's mochel. And ona'ah is a sur, even though there's no chidush in it, right? But he says, but since at the end of the day, the tzad hashav shebehen is you're stealing from him. So afani avi et gezel. So I'm going to bring gezel, and that's it. I bring gezel from that, but that's like a stealing. At the end of the day, what do you care? You're stealing with a suit. You're not stealing with a suit. You understand? It's at the end of the day, it's the same thing. You understand? So the Gemara says, Amli. They said, Achanam, you're right. So then, why do I need the lava gezel? If you're not going to pay your workers on time. Meaning, if you're not going to pay your worker, you're going to be over on this, which is basically going to be the Geneva. Okay? The Kovesh Sagar Schid. Kovesh Sagar Schid behed yaktiv be. He says, one time, you already have it mefurash. You're not allowed to not pay your workers. You don't need it from Gezel. So he says, you're right, two lavim. Lav of Gezel and Lotashok Sacharim. Meaning, if a person doesn't pay his workers, he gets double punishment. So says the Gemara, okay, fine. But why not? Velukme beribit ve'ona. But learn it from rebit and ona. Ve'lavor of b'shnei lavin also. So says the Gemara, davar alamen minyano. Yeah, what does that mean? It's something that you're going to learn it from itself, which means it's better to say that the love of Gezel is the inyan which was mentioned in the Torah. Right? Samechalef Amubet, 61b. Ubinyana de schir kativ, and to do with the inyana de schir, it's already written. Lo tignovu de katav Rahman alamali. So then why do I need then the lo tignovu? So he comes and he says, Lo tignovu de katav Rahman alamali. The Tanya, as we learned in the Braita, Lo tignovu al menat lemeikat. What happens if you're going to steal to cause him suffering? So it says Lo tignovu. And that's even al menat lechalem teshuna kefa. Meaning like this. I'm not stealing because I really want to do it. I'm stealing because I want to, they say in I want to chepper you. I want to bother you. So what do? I take your glasses. I take your car keys. Right? Lo tignovo. Yeah, but I was fooling around with you. I wanted you to, start looking all around, so there, going crazy, and then finally, here it is. Or I'm gonna steal. I have no problem. I'll pay you the double. I'll pay you, Kevin. No. Oh, well, no, I'm gonna make you find me. Like, I'm not gonna admit. I'm gonna do it. Still, it's a suit. That's a lo tignovo. Lo tignovo means a guy could think to himself, listen, right? I'm gonna steal it from you. I'll take your car, or I'll take I don't know what, and afterwards I'll give you the double. What's the big deal? Exactly. It's the act of the stealing which is already prohibited. You understand? That's already prohibited. Okay. So Amalei Rav Yemal Ravashi says that we went to Ravashi. Lav de katav Rachmana mishkalot lamali. Why do I need the lav of mishkalot? Mishkalot are the weights. You're not allowed to have, the different scales. What we spoke about yesterday, the entire concept of, people cheating on the scales. So Amalei says, letome mishkalotav bemelach. We're talking about that a person is putting is mishkalotav in melach in order to be mosif. So here it says, yeah. Here it says that melach is mechaseret mishkalot vegorea min mishkal. So I don't know why it does that, but I guess it's something natural that it does. It just and therefore it's just weight. Okay, so then that's what it is. So hainu gezel me'alyahu. So ask the Gemara, but that's gezel. So answers the Gemara, you're right. The second that you made these mishkalot like that, you're already over on it. You're already on it, even though you didn't steal from anybody. Tara Rabbanan, we learned in the Braita, lo ta'asu avel b'mishpah b'midah b'mishkal b'mesura. What does this mean? B'midah is midah karka. You're not allowed to cheat in the medidah of the chevel. Shelo yimdod le'echad b'mot hachama ve'le'echad b'mot geshamim. Don't do to one person with yemot hachama, one person yemot geshamim. Right? He says over here, because in yemot geshamim the chevel is lach, and therefore it's mitpashet more. It spreads out more the right, and the yemot hachama it's mitkavetz yoter. So therefore he says it's not moded b'shaveh. That's exactly what he said. No, that's what he says. שלא ימדוד לאחד ממות החמה ולאחד ממות הגשמים. ממות הגשמים החבל לח הוא מתפשט, ובמות החמה זה יבש ומתכווץ. It shrinks, right? So therefore, obviously, it's not going to be the same thing. במשקל, what is משקל? שלא יתביא משקל אותה במלח. Don't put the salt. ומסורה, what is מסורה? שלא ירתיח. That means don't put it very, very quickly into the kli until you have a lot of ketzef. That when you come, why? Because then it looks full, and really, be'emet, only after a little bit of time, all of a sudden, it's like you pour the soda, right? You pour a guy a cup of soda, he looks like all the gas and all the other gas. Hey, where'd everything go? Half a bit left. The same thing, exact same. Huh? Oh, exactly. Yeah, it's true. And then you hardly put anything. So says the Gemara, "V'lo dvarim kal v'chomer." It's kal v'chomer. Uma mesura shehi echad mishoshim u'shosha belug. Just like by the Mesurah that is going to be 1 in 33 of a lug. Hikbid alav Torah, the Torah was going to be makpid, that you're not going to be martiach. Kal v'chomer lehin, v'chatzia in shoshita in v'vita in v'log, v'chatzi log, v'ayit v'vita log. These are much bigger. So for obviously it's going to be a bigger problem of ona. So Amar Rava comes and he says, Lama li dektav rachmana yitziat mitzayim b'ribit. What's the connection between Yetziat? Exactly. Well, what's the connection? Yetziat Mitzrayim by the beat. What's the connection? Yetziat Mitzrayim by tzitzit. Yetziat Mitzrayim by mishkalot. Why does it have to do all these things? Think about it. Yeah, what's the connection? So he says, Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu says HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Ani hu shivchanti b'Mitzrayim men tipa shel bechor letipa she'ena shel bechor. In Mitzrayim, I was one differentiated between a tipa, which is the bechor, not a bechor. Only HaKadosh Baruch Hu could do that. I'm going to come and I'm going to do it, and I'm going to be toled. The person's going to be toled's money in an ochri, and then he's going to lend it to a Jew, right, with a rebit. Meaning, it's his own money. Ki'ilu it belongs to the goy, and then the goy is the one that's lending a rebit, and the goy is allowed to charge rebit, but it's really yours. Hakadosh Baruch Hu says, "Ani hu sheivchanti." I understood ben tipa letipa. I know exactly who that money belongs to. Don't start playing games with me. ומי שטומן משקלותיו במלך, ומי שתולה כלה אילן, זה צבע דומה לתכלת, in the אילן, בבגדו, ואומר תכלת הוא, and he's going to say that it's also תכלת. Meaning, in order to make money. And all these things, he's doing this. Okay? Ravina ikla lesura de Prat. Ravina went to the city of Sura on Nehar Perat. Amale Rav Chanina, Nisura de Prat, the Ravina. Says Rav Chanina from Sura de Prat to Ravina. Yetziat Mitzrayim dechtav Rachman legabe shatzim lamali. Why do we have Yetziat Mitzrayim by shatzim? Yeah, but there it says v'lo titameum v'nashotechem shebechol shalom v'zara ki ani Hashem anatechem eretz Yisrael. So Amalei אמר הקדוש ברוך הוא, אני הוא שהבחנתי בטיפה לשם בכל טיפה של נשו בכור, ואני את מי שמערב קרבי דגים טמאים בקרבי דגים טהורים מוכרן לישראל. Some people, they come and they start mixing up. The קרבי דגים טמאים or קרבי דגים טהורים. They mix it all up. Now you can't tell the difference. And then you sell it. You mix. No, but not only גזל. הקדוש ברוך הוא says, אני מבחין בין אחד לשני, אני גם מבחין בין זה לזה. I know which one's which. And therefore I know what's going on. Don't worry about it. HaKadosh Baruch Hu will take care of it. Yeah, so Amaleh, he says, Ana hama'aleh kakashali. See, I was asking for the word hama'aleh. Hama'aleh etchem. Yeah, what does it mean hama'aleh etchem? He says, Ma shna'ach hama'aleh de ketav rachmana. What does it mean hama'aleh that the Torah says? So Amaleh lech letanya Rabbi Ishmael. Rabbi Ishmael, Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu, ilmaleh lo eleti et Yisrael mimitzrayim ela b'shvil davar zeh. If I didn't bring up Israel just for this, she'en metameim b'shatzim. They're not going to be mita. Dai. Yeah, it's already enough. Right? That's already enough. So this basically is a ma'ala gdola b'Yisrael that we are not mitamim b'sheretz. So Amaleh says Rav Chanina to Ravina, uminafi shagrai utfei miribit u'mitzim mishkalot. He says what? Shratzim has a bigger reward, that we are not mitamet atzvenu b'shratzim. That's a bigger reward than being careful in ribit and tzitzit and mishkalot. So says the Gemara, Amaleh comes and he says, even though it doesn't have such a big reward of the shatzim gadol yoter from rebit and sitit mishkalot and everything, right? Which means that the schar of the shatzim is not going to be greater than rebit and sitit mishkalot. But it's disgusting. It's disgusting. Yeah, the one that's not eating shatzim. But he says, by Israel, they don't eat it. They do that because they become very, very high up, because they do not become disgusted with these shkatzim. So that's why it's going to be called a ma'ala. That's what he says over here. It's going to become a ma'ala because of this, because he's not eating these things. Meaning it's not a bigger reward. It's the exact same reward, or even just it's a higher. They don't become a sheketz. You are what you eat. You don't become a shratzim. You don't become this. Fine. 2 dots. Yeah, exactly. Spiritual level. Yeah, 100%. Spiritual elevation. Fine. Says the 2 dots. Vezu tarbit. What is tarbit? Hamarbe beperot. If you're going to give more fruits, Kate said, what's the case? Lakach menu chitim b'dinar zav. If you took chitim with dinar zav, so says the Gemara, atu kol hani damina and hash lav rebitu. Says what? Everything that we mentioned until now was not a beat. So Amar Rabbi Yavu says Rabbi Yavu, akan shel Torah mikabel. No. There's mina Torah, Rabbi mina Torah, and now it's going to be rebit mi Rabbanan. There's going to be rebit mi Rabbanan. That's what Rava also said. Akan shel Torah, until here we're talking about Doraita. It's going to be divrehem, which means the Rabbanan. Because it says, Yachin Rasha Bilbash Tzadik. What does that mean? That means if the Rasha dies, that he lent out with Rebit and he left money for his money of Rebit, they're not chayavim to give it back to the Loveh. And this money that the father, so the Tzadik will wear it, and he's not doing an Isur. Meaning, even though the father did the Avirav, lending with Rebit, when that father dies and he leaves over that money for his children, the children are allowed to use that money. The children don't have to give it back, even though it was rebit money. And that's the pshat in the pasuk, Yachin Rasha, that the Rasha will prepare it. So the father is the one that's a Rasha. Yes, the father is the one that's a Rasha. But Ilbas Sadiq, the child, which is a Tzaddik, he's allowed to use it. Which one? No, but it's nothing to do with it. Because here it's that the Yisur was only on the person that lent it, not on the following generations. Right there, it's to do with that there's a person who has avirot, and so they continue going. So it's going to be Yeah, there's a whole. Says the Gemara, ad kan vetulo. Says what? Until here, and then what? The Yoshim don't have to give it back. What does that mean? Mekamelach. Ela afilu ad kan yachin rasha. Even here, mamash, even in the shel Torah, yachin rasha v'yilbash tzadik is kol shke b'ribit Rabbanan that you're allowed to do such a thing. The ad kan ribit ketzutza mikem ve'elach, right? He says it's a vak ribit. What does that mean? Ribit ketzutza means a fixed amount of ribit. Usually, ribit is a fixed amount. Avak ribit is if it's not going to be a fixed amount. Avak ribit is like midrabanan, just like avak lashon hara. It's like a lower level of. It still is, and it's still ribit, but it's a lower level. So avak ribit is only ribit midrabanan because it's not the ikar of the isur. Chachamim made the gezerah on it, and therefore they don't force you to give it back. Meaning, ribit kitzutza is I lend you 100, you have to give me back 110. That's called ribit kitzutza. Avak ribit is I lent you something, and now you're gonna have to pay me back, but it's not but it's not the exact katsutz. It's not fixed, and therefore it's only midrabanan. So since it's only gonna be midrabanan, so it's a isur. Chachamim made it, but you don't have to give it back. That's why the children don't have to give it back in such a case. So Amar Rabbi Elazar says Rabbi Elazar, Rabbi Kitzutza Yotzeh b'dayanim. Rabbi Kitzutza, you can take it out with the dayanim. You go to Bedin and you take it out. Avak ribit does not come out by dayanim. Rabbi Yochanan Amar, Rabbi Kitzutza nami yotzeh b'dayanim. Even Rabbi Kitzutza does not come out by dayanim. Amar Rabbi Yitzchak says Rabbi Yitzchak, my time, what's the reason in Rabbi Yochanan? But the pasuk says, "Vaneshech natan v'tarbil lakach v'chai lo yichyeh." He's not going to live. He did all these lemita nitan, meaning that he's going to die mita bidei shamayim. Look what it is. A person that comes and he gives ribit, he charges ribit, he dies mita bina shamayim. You know what that is? That's a powerful mita bidei shamayim. It's a powerful thing. Okay. Okay. So it's mita b'dei shamayim. And it's not given back to like Li Shamon to give it back to somebody. Ravada Barava Amar. Ravada Barava comes and he says, the pasuk says, Al tikach me'ito neshek v'tabit, v'yareta melohecha. You have to be afraid of Hashem. Lemoranitan. So he says, what does that mean, lemoranitan? He says, lemoranitan means that it's given for mora. Mora means that you're afraid. Right? What does that mean exactly? So he says, Lemoranitan v'lo Li Shamon, meaning because of Yirat Hashem, you're not supposed to take it. Not because Kiru, you're supposed to give it back. No, you have to have fear of God. The Rava Amar Rava says, Migufe de Krashmiale. He learns it from the actual pasuk in itself. Right? Mot yumat damav yebo, damav bo yeh, ukshu malve rebit leshovche damim. Ma shovche damim, just like shovche damim lo nitunu Li Shamon, wasn't given to give back. Af malve rebit lo nitunu Li Shamon. So too, it was in order to give it back.
So what that means?